Good evening, fellow Zoomers. Today we're going to talk browsers. I've been using Qutebrowser for about a year for basically all my web needs, but recently I stopped using it and I switched to something else. Qutebrowser is a great browser which is based on Qt Web Engine. It features a keyboard-driven user experience and Vim-style key bindings. And Qutebrowser is great, don't get me wrong, but there's still some room for improvement. And here's how Qutebrowser can get even better. One of the major reasons why I switched to another browser was because watching HD videos on YouTube was just such a pain in the ass. The fans would start spinning like crazy, the CPU would get up to 80% and it just wouldn't be possible to watch a video. The reason why is because Qutebrowser does not support video acceleration, which is really critical when it comes to old CPUs like this potato right here, ThinkPad X230. Other than that, mainstream browsers like Firefox and Chrome support extension, which is called H264 Basically what it does is it enables hardware accelerated video on YouTube. By default, YouTube serves you VP8, VP9 videos, and these are the codecs that do not profit from video acceleration. So basically you would be stuck at 80% CPU load and spinning fans whether your browser supports hardware acceleration or not. And yeah, Qutebrowser not having any extensions is another topic which I'm going to talk about a lot in this video. However, YouTube serving videos that do not support hardware acceleration is not Qutebrowser's fault, so bear that in mind. Some people might respond to that by saying, well, yeah, just use MPV, And yeah, there's an option to set up a key binding that basically opens the current page in MPV using MPV and YouTube DL. But it's kind of cumbersome, and first you have to set it up, which is relatively easy, but it's still a thing to do. And second, I prefer to have videos in my browser so that I can switch to it and I can have it in background maybe. It's just a matter of habit. Ad blocking is another thing that made me switch from Qutebrowser. And again, here, lack of extensions really cripples your experience when it comes to ad blocking in Qutebrowser because by default, Qutebrowser supports hosts-based ad blocking, which is basically as effective as having a host file blocking all domains and redirecting them to localhost. However, ads are usually smarter than that, unfortunately, and we have ads in YouTube videos, we have pop-up ads, we have all kinds of nasty stuff, and host-based ad blocking solutions, unfortunately, are just powerless against that. So in Qutebrowser, you're gonna have pop-ups, you're gonna have ads in YouTube, you're gonna have all that stuff, and it's really kind of annoying, and I mean, of course, it depends on the kind of websites you go to. Some news websites, for example, are notorious for their ads, and they're just so intrusive and so lame, and Qutebrowser just, you can't do anything about it. Qutebrowser's ad blocker is actually not that bad if you compare to not using ad blocker at all, but obviously it doesn't even compare to uBlock Origin and other ad blocking solutions because they use a completely different way of blocking ads, which is more efficient. Once again, I would like to point out that it's not Qutebrowser's fault that the modern web sucks so much, and this basically goes for every point that I present in this video. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and unfortunately, as of now, Qutebrowser does not provide those measures. One more thing that Qutebrowser is currently lacking is some kind of mechanism to block trackers and intrusive social buttons that follow you around wherever you go. In other browsers, once again, we have extensions, for example, Privacy Badger, uMatrix, uBlock Origin, that take care of those trackers and block them. And on Qutebrowser, once again, you're left with this host-based solution, which is pretty simple, and it does block some trackers, but unfortunately, it's just not nearly as efficient as extensions on Firefox and Chromium. Besides, on Qutebrowser, there is no way to redirect HTTP to HTTPS, which again on Chromium and Firefox is achieved by installing extension HTTPS everywhere, and no way to disable WebRTC either. Okay, there is actually a way to disable it, but as far as I know, it still leaks external IP address. So yeah, those are the things that I didn't like that much about Qutebrowser, and that eventually made me switch to another browser. And please don't regard this video as a personal attack on Qutebrowser project or the developers of Qutebrowser. They're honestly doing God's work, and this is my favorite browser so far, and this is the only product that actually focuses on power users. And I can 100% tell you that if our web was a little bit more honest, wouldn't try to spy on users, and if Qutebrowser had hardware acceleration, I would use it hands down, like no alternatives. So yeah, I'm sorry for my voice, I'm kind of sick, I just hope it's not too bad. And anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.